glad you came here right away in person and everything.
Delighted to be somewhere in person.
Oh, for sure. Oh, it's also not quite as cold this morning.
Oh my gosh, we skied today.
Did you?
We had a lesson.
It's pretty cold up there.
Canceled.
It was like way below zero.
It was like 5 when we started.
Do you have electric boots, heaters or something? That helps a lot. But your face just gets blasted.
No, I had a sort of look like a kind of a like merman.
I had like two, gaiters on, one to here, one to here.
Yeah. And the coat is easy. Getting a coat's not a big deal.
No, the rest of it was pretty.
Yeah.
When the wind.
And you're moving.
When the wind.
Except for the lift was all really easy.
We're doing masks out.
That's the
Well,
question.
if there's nobody around.
There's nobody around.
I mean, people, if they choose to say, I still feel more comfortable. When I go to the grocery store, whatever,
Yeah.
anywhere I go, that's a store, I still put, no one's wearing it. No one.
No one. Well, in Chicago, we're at 0.7% hostility, so.
Yeah, it's pretty high here.
Yeah, this time it's going up here.
I know, it's crazy.
So it's just disgusting.
I don't know, I'm triple vaccinated, and they say get the fourth, I'll go get the fourth.
Why are you feeling
The instructors say that they're not really seeing it in the locker room a lot, maybe because they haven't had any cases lately.
What's going on in Chicago? For,
under 1%?
this is colder than Chicago.
Oh, it is. It'll change tomorrow.
Yeah, it's apparently so,
It's gonna be
so
spring
ready.
ski.
Flip-flopping places.
So ready.
Did you grab it, Seth?
It is. Need to see it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go to today. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yabba 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 baba yabba bim bam yabba ba bim bam yabba 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 baba ba yabba bim bam yabba ba bim bam yabba bim bam yabba 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 baba yabba bim bam yabba ba bim bam yabba 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 ba ba ba.
Good evening, Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to our service. In all this cold weather, we're so glad to see many of you coming out to join us to create a warm service. We're going to begin with our candle lighting. If someone would like to light candles for us this evening.
Did you say Mary Sue does?
You said Mary Sue?
Mary Sue and Janice, you could do it together.
Yeah, come up
I'll
together. The
sing.
cantor will sing. That's why Ronnie's here, to volunteer you. May the Shabbat candles we now light inspire us to see justly and gently, to look honestly and with kindness, to see what's holy in each other.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
Thank you. We turn in our prayer books to page 4 at the bottom of the page. Hine ma tov, how good and pleasant it is for us to be together.
And we are so glad that we have this opportunity tonight to all be here together. So please take just a moment to introduce yourself or to say Shabbat Shalom to someone sitting nearby. Hine ma tov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov Shavet achim gam yachad Shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov u'manayim 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 Shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov Ya la la ya la 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 Hine ma tov Ya la la ya la 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 Hine ma tov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad Hine ma tov u'manayim Shavet achim gam yachad.
In the bottom of page 8, as we continue responsively, we'll read our family prayer. May we never take for granted the gift of Shabbat as we sit nestled in the Rocky Mountains, sharing this humble moment with family and friends. Hearten our spirits. Let Shabbat peace bring quiet to our souls. Allow this time set aside for song and prayer to bring us closer together in thoughts and deeds. Glowing with reverence and filled with our traditions. May the end of this week encourage us to examine our actions. Let us look ahead toward the new week so we'll be worthy of all of God's blessings. The top of page 8 as we continue. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim, Kadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Kadosh Baruch Hu. Tzitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi melech Malachei HaMlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Tonight it's a little bit like a choir. Everybody's singing. And it still amazes me when you come from so many different places, whether it's Chicago or Denver or Kansas City in the old days, that the tunes become familiar and then our tunes all blend together with all of us. Maryland too, a little bit. I'll give you a little credit. But it's just so nice to see everybody joining in and tapping your feet and being with us on this. And that's why when we turn to our song, page 12, as Sinai, we lift our eyes to the mountains. From where does our help come?
Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Es Sinai el Harim, me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri me'im Adonai, oseh shamayim va'aretz.
On page 15 at the bottom of the page, we have our covenant with God to take care of this beautiful land of ours, the trees, the streams, the mountains. We'll continue responsively the middle of page 15. As we live amidst the trees, streams, and mountains of Vail, we pray for the care and healing of the earth so that the present and future generations may enjoy the fruits of creation. Covenant with Abraham and Sarah. We teach our children to love Judaism, to honor and carry our traditions and laws of the Torah so our legacy may continue. Covenant with Moses and the Israelite people, to all generations, giving people the 10 Commandments and challenging us to choose a life of goodness. May each day be filled with the kindness, honesty, integrity, and righteous acts, so we remain filled with the promise of the covenants. Top of page 14? Top of page 14, sing unto God a new song as we'll join together.
Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo. Basru me'am le'am, Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo. Basru me'am le'am, Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo. Basru me'am le'am, Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, baruch shemo. Basru me'am le'am, Yeshuato.
And as we go back to the 16th century, to the town of Tzfat, the beautiful prayer of Lecha Dodi as we welcome the Sabbath bride, the top of page 16.
Lecha lecha dodi, likrat likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'ribor echad. Hishmianu el ha'meyuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'litchila la 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nilcha. Ki hi mekor ha'biracha. Mirosh mikedem nesucha. Sof ma'aseh b'machsheva tchila la 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Mikdash melech ir melucha. Kumitzli mitorat lecha. Rav lach shevet be'em bechavacha. Vehu yachmol alaychem la 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela.
The bottom of page 18, we rise, face the rear of the sanctuary as we greet the Sabbath bride.
Boi v'shalom ateret bala. Gam b'simcha u'b'tzala. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, la 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. La 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 la. Lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela. Lecha lecha dodi likrat kala. P'nei p'nei Shabbat nekavela.
Now, we'll probably never know this, but we know all these people are watching all over the country. And I wonder, are you standing when we say stand? We'll never know this.
You can write in the comments and we can look later
Yeah,
and
so
see
all
what
of you at
what you say.
Seacrest, all the people at Seacrest that we know watch every week, or Ian, are you standing up or are you just saying, he'll never know? I know. Page 21 at the top of the page, we'll continue responsively with Psalm 92. It's good to give thanks to you, O Lord, to praise your name through song, to speak in the morning of your loving kindness and your faithfulness each night, and to the music of the lute and the harp, melody of the lyre, I'll sing with my delight. The bottom of page 20 as we continue.
Sadikata mar yifrach ke'eres balvanon yizkeh shetulim beveit Adonai bechatzrot Eloheinu yafrach
Well, in 1921, when Dr. Frank Crane wrote this piece, Just for Today, apparently he wrote a daily column, and each day there were 10 suggestions. This is all that I've got left from 1921. But it's just wonderful as it stays with us, and we have it on our wall at home. Ernie took a picture of a rainbow, I don't remember when that was, and then mounted this below it. So we get to look at this every day and remember just for today.
For today, I will live one day only, forgetting yesterday and tomorrow and not trying to solve the whole problem of life at once.
Just for today, I'll be unafraid of life and death, unafraid to enjoy the beautiful and be happy. People are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Just for today, I will adjust myself to what is and not try to adjust everything to suit me. If I cannot have what I like, I will try to like what I have.
Just for today, I'll be agreeable, cheerful, charitable, do my best, praise people for what they can do, not criticize them for what they cannot do. If I find fault, I'll forgive it and forget it. I'll try not to improve nor regulate anybody except myself.
Just for today, I will have a plan. I may not follow it exactly, but I will have one. It will save me from worry, hurry, and indecision.
Just for today, I will get people off my nerves and not get on theirs. I appreciate them for what they do and what they are.
Just for today, I will not show it if my feelings are hurt.
Just for today, I'll find a little time for quiet, to relax, to realize what life is and can be, and to think about God and get a better perspective of myself.
Just for today, I will look at life with fresh eyes and discover the wonder of it. I will know that as I give to the world, so the world will give to me.
Thank you. When we turn to page 24 and rise, we'll continue with our call to worship and join with the cantor in the Baruch Hu.
Yai la 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 la
Thank
la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach. HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
You may be seated. You've loved your people Israel with increasing love, and you've taught us the Torah, mitzvot, laws of judgment. We'll continue as we turn in our prayer books to page 28 and join together Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha avta, Amcha avta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu lemadeta, Otanu lemadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shofenu, U'kumenu nafsiach b'chukecha, Nismach b'divrei Toratecha, ומצוותיך לעולם ועד, כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
And who is our Shema surprise today?
Well, it's a surprise for them, but I would love everyone who is not yet of bar or bat mitzvah age to come and lead us in the Shema. And if you don't really know it, it's okay. You can still come and be up with us.
Thank you. My dog is my Valentine.
She's, okay. All right, no Lila. All right, got it. All right.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. יאללה 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 יאללה. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. יאללה 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 ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאותה ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
The top of page 33, may we have just enough. It's something to think about not just tonight, but almost every day when we're grateful for what we do have and not wanting for what we don't. Source of all goodness, as we join together in prayer, we reflect on blessings that are always within our reach. May we feel healthy enough to arise in the morning and enjoy all this beautiful valley gives us each day. May we have enough wealth to be able to take care of our own needs and compassionate enough to share our abundance with others. Enough wisdom to recognize our own faults. May we have patience enough to not easily become disheartened, knowing that with faith in the future, tomorrow will be a better day, Middle of page 32 as we join with the cantor.
Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya lai la lai lai. Yai lai ya la lai. Yai la lai lai ya la 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai. Mi kamocha nedar v'kodesh. Nora tehilot oseh beleh. Nora tehilot oseh beleh. Malchutecha ra'u v'necha ukeyayam lifnei Moshe. Ze'elianu ve'amru. Ze'elianu ve'amru. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Yai lai lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya lai la lai lai. Yai lai ya la lai. Yai la lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai.
Well, on this Shabbat evening, we seek peace and comfort. Shield us from the hatred and destruction that plagues so many corners of our world, and console those in need. May we always feel protected in the shadow of your wings. Blessed are you, O God, whose shelter of peace spreads over us, over all people, and over Jerusalem. The top of page 34 as we join together. Hashkivenu.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu lechayim. Ushmor tzitzeinu uvoenu lechaim ushalom ve'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom Mehamidenu Malkeinu lechayim.
As we read from the book of Exodus, in 6 days the Lord created the heavens and the earth. The seventh day he ceased from his work and rested. The top of page 36 as we join together. Vishamru.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית העולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית העולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורות הברית העולם.
Well, those in our community who are in need of healing, healing of body, mind, or spirit, if you have a person in your life who's in need of healing in a moment, please feel free to share their name as we move about the sanctuary, as we're going to be continuing the top of page 38 and join together Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
We keep in our thoughts and prayers Gail Balin, Sue Beiser, Linda Cullen, Blanche Deutsch, Lynn Deutschman, Carol Ann Finn, David Freed, Jane Friedman, Betty Ann Gaynor, Deborah Goldman, Cliff Goldman, Don Graubert, Donald Jaffe, Warren Janowitz, Mary Sue Katz, Herman Keek, Brian Kushner, Josh Marion, Renee Myers, Pedro Prince, Stephen Reese, Roberta Scheller, Sam Schwartz, Henry Sheldon, Bill Silvers, Bert Solomon and Lauren Solomon, Dina Stempler, Maury Strauss, Alan Tannenbaum, Toba Weidenstock, and Mickey Winokur. Thank you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Misha Berach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. We know as the prayer is chanted that there are so many around the country who aren't here because of their being ill, but they did say that they would be watching us tonight, and I know Steve is watching from Denver, has a difficult time right now, and others. So we always let us know when someone isn't well so we can include them in the prayers, and especially those that 2 million have had to leave Ukraine, and how many are suffering at this point. We'll turn to page 40 in our prayer books and rise for the Reader's Kaddish.
Yitkadal ve'yitkadosh shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divra kirtei ve'amlich malchutei.
B'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayedecha Beit Yisrael b'gala uvizman kariv.
Ve'imiru.
Amen. Yeshmei Rabba Mivarach Le'alam Lamei Homaya Yitbarach.
Yitzbarach v'yishtabach, Yitzpar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, Shemei Kudsha,
Brechu.
Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata.
Tushbechata v'nechemata damiran bialma.
Imeru.
Amen. Be not afraid of silence. It's more powerful than the unpolished word. Allows God's voice to be heard and allows tears and doubt to tumble out. Continue the top of page 42 and then silently through page 57.
Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha. Ananana Adonai. Ananana svatai tiftach. Ananana ufi agid. Ufi agid tehilatecha.
May be seated when you've completed the Amida. Middle of page 56 as we continue with our prayer for peace and join together, Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uya'aseh Shalom Aleinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'immeru Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav Uya'aseh Shalom ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav u'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Well, back in the late 60s and 70s, and I was part of the Jewish youth group of USY, United Synagogue Youth, and we were focused in those days on Soviet Jewry and helping them to escape Russia and move on to Israel. We chanted songs and read out slogans. We attended all kinds of protests and marches. But there was one plastic button that I remember wearing on my army jacket, and it was taken from the book of Genesis with the simple question, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? We were going to shout and protest until we knew all of our brothers and sisters were free. Now, most biblical scholars argue that, am I my brother's keeper? Well, it's not a question at all. When Cain kills his brother, God comes looking for him and says, Ayehevel achicha, where is Abel, your brother? And God knows what happened, and Cain knows that God knows. So Cain says, Lo yadati, how would I possibly know? Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? So Cain's not really answering God's question. In effect, he's saying, why should I care? Am I responsible for my brother or anyone else for that matter? Well, these few words can be seen as a rhetorical question, I think, that Cain poses to God, but they're not rhetorical in the context of Genesis or in our lives even today. When Cain may not expect an answer as he stands in this blood-splattered ground where his brother is laying beneath him, we know the answer, and God does as well. So when Cain asks, am I my brother's keeper? He's asking, who is achi? Who is a brother? What does it mean to have a brother or a sister? And what responsibility do I possibly have for others? But Genesis is absolutely obsessed with this question. The word ach, which is the Hebrew word for brother, appears 160 times just in the book of Genesis, more frequently than God's name appears in Genesis. So beginning with Cain and Abel, the book of Genesis begins to relate these stories about siblings who argue with one another. We have Abraham and Lot, they're like brothers. Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau, Rachel and Leah, and of course, Joseph and his brothers. It's a rough few chapters. But more often than not, the brothers and sisters in the Bible, well, they fail in their relationships, and they live in the shadow of Cain and Abel's struggle. They inflict pain on one another, and there are no illusions in the Bible. Brothers and sisters just don't know how to get along. I know you do. Genesis leaves us with the question, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? Well, whether we're members of a family or whether we are citizens of a nation or inhabitants that just happen to share this planet, we have to answer the question, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? Every act of violence we witness reminds us that we're so far removed from one another that we can't find a connection. We can't find a connection, yet our differences are small compared to the things which we share. Now, this evening I wanted to end with a story. It's one of these midrash that are more from the 1700s. And it talks about, I think it answers the question, am I my brother's keeper? It's a wonderful story where it talks about how long ago there lived a king, and he had this magical ring. Whoever wore it, we're told, was loved by everyone and was ruler of the land, and each king would then pass that ring on to his most beloved child. Thus, they would ensure the continuity of the kingdom. Once, however, the king didn't have one son, but he had three. all of whom he loved dearly. So then the question was, to whom does he give the ring? So after much thought, the king said, I'll go to a goldsmith and I'll make 2 more rings, exactly like the magical ring. So on his deathbed, the king gave each of his sons an individual ring, and they were so pleased to learn that they were the favorite child. But when the king passes away, they were disheartened to discover that they all had the same ring, and then, of course, they began to argue. So finally, they went to the wisest man in the kingdom, a man who could determine which was the magical ring. And after examining the 3 rings, he said, since they're all the same, there's really no way to tell which was the original ring. But this I can tell you, it doesn't take a magical ring to rule the kingdom. Live your lives with goodness, treat each other with kindness, and the people will say, that's the one who acts the best, the most honorable, and that's the one who must have the magical ring. That one deserves to be king. Well, in 1940, as the Jews were fleeing Nazi occupation of Europe, there was no magic ring. Tonight, as the citizens of Ukraine are fleeing the brutality of Russia, once again, we know there is no magic ring. So do we just sit here and stare, wondering, will there ever be a magic ring, at those horrifying images on TV? And we're asking, Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? And what we've learned, I think, from these stories in Genesis is all we have are our actions and our integrity. That's our magic ring. If we can learn to live with honor and kindness, we can demonstrate that when we treat each other finally as brothers and sisters, we can become worthy of the legacy of our tradition. We can speak out and say, enough already. Do something, do more, and after you've done all that, do even more. We have to live by the principle, lo ta'amod al dam re'echa, do not stand by the blood of one's neighbor. Do something. Then maybe the future generations can say to their children, may you be like our ancestors who spoke out. They spoke out and demanded that one treated another as brothers and sisters. And our question tonight is, may you be your brothers and sisters' keeper. Amen. I would not dare read all the stuff that's coming up. But if you don't have one of these from the back, it gets filled and we just keep making the font smaller. So we can put even more on there. It's pretty amazing. So instead of highlighting everything that's happening, take one of these. We have so many great events. First, for Passover, because it's not a communal Seder this year, we do have Passover Seder kits that will be available for purchase. So it has everything you need to put on the table except the main course. So if you'd like one of those, you contact Janet at her website and email address, and we'll be able to have those provided for you. Our book, Chavurah, Tall Grass. It's an amazing story. I was asking how far away this is, but it does talk about, during World War II, how here in Colorado they had a Japanese internment camp. And it's being read, not just Eagle County, but all of Colorado? All the counties? What's it called? It's yeah, and this is the one they chose. One book, one valley. I think that's an amazing story. Though it's not about a Jewish concentration camp, we can relate to this. And I think to think that it took place in Colorado, and they're going to be putting it back together. So this will be a very, very interesting book club to come to. We have the Leadville cleanup, I guess, and you're so much in charge of that.
We don't have a date for that quite yet. It's a program that will be put on, as usual, by B'nai B'rith Colorado. I sit on the board for B'nai B'rith Colorado, and we are still working on finalizing a date. It's usually toward the end of June.
And we have, because the whole back of the chapel is being torn up and renovated as part of what they're doing to make it more beautiful, first you have to make it torn up, and then you can make it beautiful. So we're moving services instead of the Creekside services to 3 locations. One will be at Four Eagle Ranch, one will be at the
Historic Leadville
Historic
Synagogue.
Leadville Synagogue, and then the other is Walking
And at
Mountains. So we're going to be all over the place with different services, but they should be, I think, as amazing as anything we've done. And we also are bringing in Bishvil HaMachar, which means a path forward. Many of the wounded Israelis will be coming here for therapy and help. They're staying at the Molina Ranch, but they've invited us to join them for Shabbat out at the ranch. So there's a lot of great opportunities. I'm not going to go through the rest of this with all the mountaintop services and everything else coming. But take one of these before you go home, and we'll keep filling it in every week. Next week.
Yes, next week we have our Purim Carnival. So we have families are all volunteering to run a bunch of different games. We have a bunch of families signed up already. It'll be really fun. And we're starting at 5 o'clock, not 5:30. So you can come at 5. You may come in costume. Many of us will be wearing costumes. And everyone is welcome, all ages. Please bring friends and families, and we'll see you next week. And we'll be doing
Lots
a
of
Megillah reading, lots of hamantashen that are being locally made by DJs and Dahlias, a really wonderful cafe in Gypsum. They're making hamantashen for us. They are incredible bakers, and so I'm very excited for these hamantashen, and it should be a ton of fun.
And a Megillah reading, abbreviated Megillah reading.
Abbreviated Megillah reading and groggers and all kinds of fun. So
And
we really
what
hope
else?
to see you there next week for our Purim Shabbat.
Please join us. Well, we'll return to our prayer books now. On page 60, as we rise and join together, Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'otzer bereshit, shalo asanu k'goyei haratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shalo sam chalkeinu kahem, ve'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, L'melech al kol ha'aretz, Bayom hahu, Yeh Adonai echad, U'shemo, echad.
At this moment, in memory of our loved ones who are no longer with us, we join hands in love and remembrance because a link has been broken in the chain that bound us together. Yet strong bonds of home and love hold us yet one to another. Though our loved ones are beyond our sight, we do not despair, for we'll always be comforted by our precious memories. In solemn testimony to that unbroken faith which links the generations one to another, we call to mind those of Zartzeit we observe this month. Madeline Brand, Selma Bronstein, Sidney Burns, Sadie Dushman, Sylvia Feldman, Richard Fox, George Frechter, Jack Futernick, Thelma Gerson, Herbert Given, Norman Goldberg, Edith Goldsmith, Rosalind Goldman, Ida Haas, Phyllis Hayden, Saul Horowitz, Pauline Israel, Sidney Joseph Kern, Alice Kussman, Israel Laberwitz, Marion Levy, Edward Leaf, Evelyn Ruth Miller, Rose Moore, Nathan Myers, Paul Pascal, Marjorie Green Patterson, Murray Plotnick, Herman Poncher, Mel Presser, Ethel Price Shapiro, Miriam Raymer, Edward Rosenthal, Carol Ross, Lise Rothman, Henrietta Schneider, Ernie Schneider, Benedicta Schragen, Jay Schwab, Janet Shapiro, Marvin Sheldon, Isidore, Jack Silver, Scott Simons, Leon Singer, Alan Solomon, Arthur Wagner, Fred Wall, Dorothy Wellens, Jack Wertheim, Dana Whitman, and Shirley Seslowski. If anyone else is observing Yartzeit this month. The Mourner's Kaddish can be found in our prayer books. On page 64, and those who wish may join with us as we say, Yitzgadal v'yitzkadash Shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, V'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Bagalav izman kariv imramein. Yehesh me rabba mevarach leolam omei omaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. Yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richuv. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Damiran v'yalma v'imramein. Yehesh shlomo rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imramein. You may be seated.
And you know, tonight is not her yahrzeit, and it's not her yahrzeit this month, but I just feel compelled to mention her. I had 3 reminders of Myrna Sigmund today, so I'm really thinking about her. The first was a photo on Facebook that I posted of Ziva about 6 years ago, and of Ziva snowboarding, and Myrna commented on it with a selfie looking down at her phone, and it made me smile so much. And then I walked in today. I pick up a different book every week to lead the service out of, and Myrna's name is in my book. And then right when I opened the Ark, her beautiful Torah cover greeted me that she embroidered. And so I'm just thinking about Myrna today.
Thank you. Page 66, the ever-wandering tune of Adon Olam is... We're not doing a Purim tune. We'll save that for next week.
Okay, all right. Any suggestions for an Adon Olam tune?
No,
this
David,
week?
we're not doing Georgia.
All right.
Oh, that's
Sunrise,
interesting.
Sunset. Okay.
We'll do John Denver next time.
All right. All right.
Page 66.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'ed Nasa B'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kichlot HaKol Levado yimloch nora Vehu haya vehu hove Vehu yem tifara Vehu echad ve'in sheni Lehamshilo lehachbira Bli reshit, bli tachlit Ve'lo Misra, Vail, Misra, Vehu Eli, Vechai Glali, Betzor Chavli, Be'itzara, Vehu Nisi, Umanosli, Menat Kosi Beyom Ekra, Menat Kosi Beyom Ekra. Be'ado Akid Ruchi Be'eti Shan Be'a'ira Ve'im Ruchi Givianti Adonai Li V'lo Yera Sunrise, sunset, sunrise, sunset Swiftly flow the years, one season following another, laden with happiness and tears.
Well, you know, Passover is almost here when City Market brings out their Hanukkah candles. So we're all ready for the holiday. Let's rise for a closing blessing. We rise. Adonai Yosli Amo Yitain, Adonai Avarechet Amo V'Shalom. May the Lord bless you and keep you and give all of us peace.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon.
There's challah and wine for everyone in the back. Shabbat Shalom.
Bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam, bim bam, bim 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 bam, bim 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 bam. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat 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 Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom.